Everybody.
Morning.
Yay. Really glad to be back with you this morning.
We got a little echo
We
going.
do have a little echo. Can you hear that on your end? Oh, there we go. That sounds
okay.
better. Really glad to be back with you this morning. Hope everybody had a great July 4th week.
Yes.
And
it's hot, but hopefully it was fun.
It is hot, but hopefully it was fun. But last Monday, obviously, we've talked about this on the show, and I know that WIG did quite a bit to celebrate this, which is wonderful. But the Hero House, how'd it go, Trevor?
Helping a Hero the hero has moved in.
Yay.
It was just a great event.
It really was. It was hot, too.
It was so hot, and when we did the groundbreaking for her, it was cold. Like it was like
really?
from one extreme to the other. And her name is Kelsey McInnes. She's just delightful and so appreciative. I hope you saw some of the footage. I know WIG TV might have put something out there, but we have footage from Helping a Hero. All the press were there, and special ambassador for Helping a Hero, Paula Dean, was there. And
that was neat because her voice sounds just like in person, just like it does on
She's
TV,
so
which I'm sure it
she is so genuine. And I was just talking to Sandra from WIG, and she noted that Paula just went out and talked to everybody that was there, like she was just a part of Rocky Mount, and it was so fun to see. Very special. And Kelsey's getting, slowly moved in. She still has her apartment in Fayetteville, but she's transitioning in. I helped her get her utilities all together, and that was City of Rocky Mount, kudos to them. We went in, and she made friends all over, but it only took 15 minutes, and she's all good.
Well, really great work to Trevor and Tony and the Barnhill Family Foundation, and so many others who helped make that possible. So it's really kind of special that Rocky Mount has two Helping a Hero home sites now.
That's right, and
both in Belmont. So
both in Belmont.
Nice.
It's incredible, and it just goes to show how Rocky Mount is such a giving place and such a great place to live. The people are genuinely good and want to help people. And here we are. I mean, those homes are built all over the country, and we have two of them right here. Very special.
And they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually have an interesting show for us today to talk more about kind of the public search engines that probably you or your friends or family use. So we as agents don't typically use these systems as our search engines.
For real estate.
For real estate, that's right. But we're thinking of things like Zillow, Homes.com, Realtor.com, Trulia, and Redfin. Trevor and I spoke about this before the show, but when we go do a listing presentation for someone, we will often pull these because honestly, it's interesting to pull for our homes too that aren't on the market, just to see if it were to go live, what does the public think this would or should list for?
You'd be surprised how much these platforms drive the market a little bit.
So much.
Now, are the Zestimates really that accurate? I always get questions like that. When you're on vacation and you just want to see what a house price is or whatever, you'll use Zillow, I bet.
Yep.
It's the easiest, fastest platform, and so they, even if they might not be accurate, it's still out there, and we need to incorporate it in our everyday real estate.
That word that Trevor just used of Zestimate, we use that as lingo all the time, but I did have to explain that to somebody the other day, so let me just tell you.
Yeah.
So Zestimate is Zillow's estimate of your house, and it has become kind of a buzzword in the industry because we do hear it so often. I mean, you know, it was catchy on Zillow's part to name it that way.
Yes, yes. And it's really just an automated evaluation. So they pull things from the tax card. You know, they can't
Registered deeds, like all these different.
They don't have, you know, people in there, you know, out there, boots in the street figuring, you know, oh, what's this? So it's almost like an AI type, you know, and they're pretty accurate. If you'll notice, they give a pretty good range too. So, but we've also seen them that they really aren't that accurate. Now they pull too from the MLS, and if data is entered wrong by people, it doesn't notice, right? So the other day, the other day, somebody called me because they found a property with 2,000 acres, right? And it was like 2,397. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. And the price was, I don't know, $250,000. So I pulled it up and realized that it was actually supposed to be the square footage. The agent just had an error and put that in wrong. So, you know, Zillow, that estimate was way higher than it should be because they thought it was like 2,000 square feet. I mean, acreage.
Right, right. No, we talk about Zillow because if you, like the background behind us, if you were to live in a neighborhood that looked just like that, where many homes look the same and you live interior to the neighborhood and they were all built about the same time of the year, you know, about the same year and about the same finishing, then the estimate would probably be a really good actual estimate. But for so many of us, the home is kind of a little bit more unique. It may be a little more old, or it may not be. It may be more updated, and that's where Zillow really does not have the, you know, the capability to derive that.
Right. And let's see. So when a buyer clicks on Zillow and just wants to see the property, you know, how does that work? So it's so easy. You just click on there and you get what you think is
the listing agent.
The listing agent. And yeah, how many of you think that's the case? I bet if you called in, you were like, most of us think that it's the listing agent. And really most of the time it is not.
Right, right.
Now, there are other platforms like Homes.com. Their big push is you get the listing agent when you call. When you click on a property, it will be the listing agent. And I think that was smart of them to kind of spin it a little bit, because I think people get frustrated when they feel like they have to talk to the listing agent to get all the accurate information. So I think Homes.com has given Zillow a run for their money.
But truly, sometimes it is best to work with a different agent, depending on, you know. So there are pros. Excuse me. There are pros for both ways the systems are set up. They're just set up differently.
But Homes.com is growing very fast, and they have big money like Zillow. Those two, I think, are the top.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because you see their advertising on, you know,
the Super Bowl.
They have a great image and they're really making some noise out there.
One of the things we talked about when someone is going to list a home, or we hear a home is getting ready to come on the market, people will often go look at the pictures that were there. And so this is when it's so helpful for a seller to make a list of all the improvements that they have done to the property, and then let the pictures also reflect that. So particularly if a home has been, let's say the kitchen was renovated, and then the previous listing is there where the kitchen was not renovated, then it's really helpful for a buyer to see, oh, that's why they're asking for this increase in price. Your agent did a good job of documenting these improvements, and the pictures do a good job of reflecting that. The other thing just made me think about, Trevor, is, you know, what feeds our local MLS feeds to Zillow primarily, and then the Triangle MLS feeds, you know, does feed to Zillow, but Realtor.com is more of the platform for the Triangle MLS. So, making sure that your agent lists in multiple platforms does really help drive your visibility among the search engines.
Realtor.com is, it's been out there a long time.
Yep.
It just doesn't have quite the advertising. And in fact, NAR used to, we realtors used to own Realtor.com, but we do not anymore. It's its own thing, and it's very accurate and it's good. It just doesn't have the big bang that the other two have as
Right.
far as advertising.
So we were talking yesterday about a few things, for example, that if your home is in a cul-de-sac, Zillow cannot determine whether your home is on a busy street or a cul-de-sac. It's not able to determine that you have a new roof or do not have a new roof. So I'm just looking at, Trevor has a long list of all the things
Yeah.
that Zillow, is so wonderful for, but also does have some limitations.
True, and even the neighbors who have a neighbor Christmas block party or things like that really kind of enhance a local flavor. And there's like a new coffee shop coming in down the street, whatever. Those local nuances they just don't have.
Trevor's really a Zillow expert in our office. She has definitely made sure that Foot Real Estate Group is a premier
Premier agent.
premier agency. And so one of the things that she's been able to do is when you go look on Zillow, you may see that sometimes some homes look more optimized, we'll use that word, than other homes. And one of the things that she's able to do is kind of take what she's learned from what the Zillow platform prefers and share it with us as the team. So when they prefer something, if you do what they prefer, they're much more likely to promote your house. So for example, a Zillow floor plan.
Zillow floor plan.
You can speak to that a little bit.
Well, and when the property comes up, it stands out a little bit because it's like a moving.
Yeah.
It's moving pictures, and it actually does tell you who the listing agent is right there, and you can talk to them. And the Zillow, the 3D tour is great. You can actually walk through the house.
On the 3D
incredible.
tours, yeah. So, I mean, an agent is not required to do any of these things, and obviously these are an additional charge for the agent to pay for to get done, but they do really help optimize how your home is presented, and then therefore help drive what a buyer sees when they come to view the property online for the first time. So it's just kind of neat. We have talked about that there are there's the ability to kind of almost promote on Zillow as well. You know how you can choose for a home to be featured just like you do in the newspaper. So that's really neat to drive more interest on Zillow. There's so many things that 3 years ago, because I've only been doing this 3 years, right? That 3 years ago I had no idea there were this many connections to the backside, and so many of them are really driven to how much the agent wants to put into optimizing it for the public to be able to see.
Now, and when the buyer clicks on that, one of the things we need to do, because often they aren't really ready to purchase. They just want to go see.
Right here.
They just want to go see the property, and we can relate to that. Of course, we want you to see the property, but really, you should have the bank behind you before you go look. It just gets frustrating because you
might fall in love.
And then you realize, oh my gosh, it's going to take me maybe 3 months to be able to, save the money for the down payment, whatever. It might take you a little longer, and so that can be very frustrating. So Zillow does not weed out those clients, those buyers just click on there, and it's up to us to help them with the process the right way.
Yeah.
And some get really, people just want to go see the house, and it's up to us to navigate that and not, discourage them that they can, but let's do it the right way.
Zillow can give a ballpark estimate of what a monthly payment would be. with taxes and insurance, which is really
Another good-
helpful.
yeah.
But it can't take into account credit score, debt
Right.
ratio, other things that are going on personally.
Which did I read the other day, real friends don't let friends go look at houses without being pre-qualified.
Yeah, just something, it really does help protect the buyer to make sure that they are not falling in love and wasting time and energy and emotional energy on something that is not quite right for them. So Zillow has so many positive attributes. It truly does as a platform that supports what realtors do and what clients really want to see when listing their home, and obviously makes it super convenient and it adds more transparency to a transaction. For a buyer, it's just it is not the entire picture.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, so we just talk about it a lot, so we wanted to make sure we came on here. And those top 5 that we mentioned were Zillow, Homes.com, Realtor.com, Trulia, and Redfin. Trulia is actually owned by Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they bought that a couple years ago. So anyway, enjoy looking at your house. I would highly encourage you to do it just because it's so interesting. And then you'll actually see a little dot below the picture of your home and beside the address that will indicate if it's red, which is not for sale, yellow or kind of orange, which is pending, and then green, which is active or for sale. So in fact, I had someone send me a picture of a home yesterday, and it clearly says pending, but they had seen it and wanted to go see it. So just when you pull up a property, make sure to look at it closely so you, again, don't fall in love or get attached to something that isn't quite the right time or right fit for you. But anyway, last thing, Trevor, we have moved into our new office and we're so excited about it.
Yes.
And we would love for you to come visit. It's on Sunset, 3312. 3312. It used to be a little brick house and now it is a white house with black shutters and a blue sign out front. So it just looks like that sign behind us, doesn't
That's
it?
right. Come on in and say hello and let us help you in your real estate needs.
That's right. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. Hope this was helpful. And the next time we hope to have someone here to talk about insurance with all the tragedy going on in Texas and this time of year, and really figure out how to maximize your home insurance and make sure you're covering yourself in the way you need.
So good. Yeah.
So thank you all. Have a great weekend.